What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTB Ravens Media, bringing you Ravens content every single day. If you want to see that daily Ravens content, please make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And in this video, what I'm going to be talking about is the edge rusher position and comparing two guys. I've compared every single other player that's kind of a first-round prospect besides Oweh and Phillips. So I'm going to be comparing those two, talking about them. But before I get into that, I've kind of been teasing it really the last couple of weeks that I've been working on something, and I've been a part of a group of people, a group of podcasters, writers, some YouTubers, and we started up a sports media company. It's called Undrafted Sports. So make sure to go check out undraftedsports.com if you're interested in that kind of thing. If you want to get involved, write or anything like that, let me know. I'm probably going to release my my Baltimore Ravens, draft board for ranking different guys and have those explanations out on there at some point. But, it's a lot of fun. Sorry for kind of boring people that are if they don't care, sorry. But, a lot of fun, very excited to get that going. But let's get into kind of this video. Basically, like I already said, comparing the edge rushers. And basically, I'm going to give my explanation of why I want one over the other. Not to say one is bad or one is not good, but just that I do prefer one of them. But let's get into kind of the description if you don't know a lot about the prospects. Starting off with Jaelan Phillips, 6'5", 266 pounds out of Miami. So that's already great size. You look at his 2020 stats, pretty solid, 8 sacks. He had an interception, 3 passes defended, no forced fumbles, which is unfortunate, but he got the sacks, which is what you like to see. He's just a very dynamic player. Not only is he's pretty good, obviously, rushing the passer, but he's very good in the run. He's very quick to react, shoot those gaps, tackle guys from behind, seal the edge, that type of thing. The one thing that about him, you can look at him as a negative or a positive, is that he transferred to Miami after he wasn't very productive out of UCLA. He was seen as a 5-star recruit going to UCLA. They were very excited for him. Really never did a lot for them. And then he transferred to Miami and obviously had a very solid season his junior year. Now, one thing that I'll bring up that's kind of a negative for him, one is that it's kind of the 1 year of production. And he really only got that opportunity because Gregory Rousseau didn't play last year. So a lot of people think that he would have been the backup for Rousseau. So, how good is he? But then the other con is that he does have an injury history, especially in his freshman season. And it's not so much, I believe he had an ankle sprain, not as much that, but I think some teams may be concerned with his concussion history because he has had some concussions. So that's something that teams may not want to draft him because of. But one thing that's really nice about him, he fits as an outside linebacker and he fits as a defensive end. So for the Ravens, they need a 3-4 outside linebacker. Phillips would fit that. He's got the size that you would need. So overall, Phillips has great length. He's got great power. Really, he'd be a solid pass rusher for the Ravens. Then let's look at Jayson Oweh, and then I'll kind of compare the two. Jayson Oweh, 6'5", 252 pounds out of Penn State. In 2020, he only played in 7 games, but he had 6.5 sacks, 1 pass defended, and 0 forced fumbles. Now, the reason why Jayson Oweh is really even talked about as a first-round pass rusher is his pro day. I think people expected him to be pretty athletic, but even Daniel Jeremiah was shocked, even though he had very high expectations. He ran a 4.36 in the 40-yard dash. I think he had a 39.5-inch vertical, so just under 40 inches. He also had over 11 feet on the broad jump. Athleticism is just spewing out of Jayson Oweh. So that's something that you can look at. Now, something that I always like to say is never overdraft for speed. That's, I firmly believe in that. When a guy runs fast, you got to look at the tape. You got to see if he's actually good, because I'm pretty sure all Ravens fans would agree with me. We don't want a Brashad Perriman situation where we draft a guy that ran a fast 40-yard dash, but he had no business even being a first-round wide receiver, and we end up drafting him. So never overdraft for speed. But let's get into kind of how he is as an outside linebacker, as an edge rusher. So he is an outside linebacker, which is very good for the Ravens. And with that athleticism, I think it's a huge advantage, because we look at what Greg Roman tries to do. Greg Roman throws your edge rushers. He throws your defensive tackles. He throws them all into weird positions. He drops them into coverage. He puts them in man coverage on guys like a Mecole Hardman. And that type of thing is is very difficult for most outside linebackers, for most edge rushers. It's tough. I mean, we saw Matthew Judon try to cover Mecole Hardman. Didn't work. Wouldn't expect it to work. But you had a guy that has this type of athleticism and Greg Roman, when he gets put in those situations where it's like, okay, it's unlikely that it's going to succeed, just hoping for a quick sack or whatever when they blitz a lot of guys. He has the athleticism to be able to at least kind of stay with a lot of people. Now, would he stay with the Tyreek Hill? No. But most guys, he would be able to at least kind of stay in the vicinity of which could be very advantageous for the Ravens. So having a guy that is versatile in terms of that athleticism is very nice, because we've seen what Tyus Bowser can do. And Tyus Bowser was seen as an athletic outside linebacker. He's very versatile. He's going to be better at stopping the run than Oweh. But you look at what he's done in pass coverage for the Ravens, even though he is more of a, kind of coverage versatile linebacker, he's made some plays. And that's the type of thing Oweh could bring. Not expecting him to get, interceptions on the daily, but just saying, he could be in positions, he would have better opportunities in the pass, when he gets dropped into pass. Now, I don't love that our guys get dropped into pass coverage, but they do. So having a guy that has the athleticism to hopefully keep up with that type of thing would be, I've said advantageous like 4 times in the last 2 minutes, but advantageous. So you look at that, and that obviously is nice, but then also he's projected to be a designated pass rusher in his rookie season. Now, he's also seen to be as a guy that could become a 10-sack player later down the line, but just based off of his athleticism and his skill. He isn't bad or anything like that. This isn't like he's never, played the position before. He is a very solid player. But he's projected to be a designated pass rusher. So what that means is, third down and long, 3rd and 10, you bring him in. A prominent situational pass rusher that you can look at in the league is a guy like Dee Ford, former Chief, current 49er, probably going to retire. But just a guy that you can plug in when you know that they're going to be passing, and you could plug in Oweh. And that's what he's seen that as his, in his rookie year, he can absolutely develop and become an every down pass rusher. The only downside of that is the Ravens still need an every down pass rusher, but if they are planning on signing a Justin Houston, a Ryan Kerrigan, and Olivier Vernon, I think that's pretty much all that's left. Wow, there's no edge rushers left. So sad. But, if they're planning on signing one of those guys, getting a designated pass rusher could be a major benefit. It's just whether or not they're able to get one of those guys. I assume that they will. Hopefully, I'm going to assume that they're going to sign Justin Houston. But, overall, having a designated pass rusher would be nice, but it's not exactly what the Ravens need. What the Ravens need is an every down pass rusher. But the benefit is Oweh does translate to become an every down pass rusher. So looking at the two, who would I rather want? I'm going to go with Jayson Oweh. And I wasn't really that big on him. I hadn't done a ton of research before I did this video on Oweh or Phillips, really. I just kind of, heard the names. I know a lot of Ravens fans are really high on Jaelan Phillips. But I like Oweh just because of his versatility. And if this was for every team, Phillips should be higher up on the board for every team, except for teams that like to put their edge rushers in weird positions and covering weird players in weird situations, because that's what Oweh's athleticism will help bring to the Ravens. And if the Ravens do end up signing a Justin Houston, or a Ryan Kerrigan or somebody like that, they're able to have somebody that can be a situational pass rusher, can learn under those guys who are very experienced, very good, players. And then when they end up retiring, because all the free agents are pretty much 31, 32 years old, when they end up retiring, he could take over and he could become the every down pass rusher that the Ravens need. So for me, I really like Oweh. I was not expecting to like Oweh. I see a lot of people in the comments recently have been like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Oweh. And I'm just like, yeah, me neither. And then I kind of did research and I'm like, most teams probably a no on Oweh, but I'm in on Oweh. I'm very excited to try and, do my comparisons with Oweh to Kwity Paye. Shout out to whoever corrected me. It's Kwity Paye, and I was saying Paye. Always correct me if I'm saying something wrong. Comparing him to Ojulari, because I'm very excited to fill out my my edge rusher, kind of rankings for the Ravens, and then overall just my big board for the Ravens, which, like I said, will be up on undraftedsports.com. I'll also make a video about it, but it'll be more in depth on the website. So if anybody wants to check that out when it gets released, go check out Undrafted Media at Undrafted Media on Twitter and Instagram. But we had a cool hype video that we put out. I'm in it, so go check that out. Sorry if I keep playing. I'm just very excited it launched today. But thank you all for watching. Trust the Bank podcast will be back tomorrow along with a mock draft Monday. And I'll see all of you again tomorrow.